Welcome to Prime Motivation. Jordan speaking, aka J Prime. And today we're going to talk about Pokemon. It's been a while since I've made one of my videos for this channel. A couple months, I think. That being said, I've been building up a list of topics. And while they've been interesting, I think they'll make inspirational videos. They still haven't made me want to come back proper. But then a certain topic, Pokemon Go, inspired me to come back. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today, as well as my history with it. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, who was totally awesome, by the way. And she's a Pokemon master. And I guess that kind of goes hand in hand, you know? That being said, we were talking about Pokemon Go and how it's made a pretty positive impact, and how crazy it is that after 20 years of existing, Pokemon can still be so relevant and so popular. And that leads me to the beginning of my tale with Pokemon. I'm still not sure of all the specific details. I had actually talked to my mom today. I had visited my family, and I talked about the beginning of Pokemon for me, and how I was glad that my parents got the games, because I wasn't expecting it, and she said it went down a little differently. I wanted the games, who knew? But still cool. Anyway, back in 1998, when we had Pokemon Red and Blue hit the States, I got Pokemon that year. I got Pokemon Red, and my brother got Pokemon Blue. And we played the video games. We watched the show. We played the trading card games too. We didn't know the rules, and we totally made up our own, but we played. That being said, and so did a lot of other people, it was insane. Pokemon Mania, a term that I am sure a lot of you have heard. And those of you growing up in that time period and were old enough to appreciate that, it was insane. Pokemon was everywhere. You couldn't get rid of it. It was incredibly popular. People that weren't typically into that sort of thing were into it. You couldn't go anywhere without someone mentioning Pokemon. And I remember I actually used to battle a lot of people in our neighborhood, battled my brother. It was great. And of course, people actually traded the cards. It was crazy. We all had something that, someone else wanted, and they had something we wanted, and it was crazy. Now, over time, of course, as with a lot of things, it kind of died down. But then, just as it was dying down, Generation 2 hit. Pokemon Gold and Silver. Crystal will come out later, but back when Gold and Silver came out, it was insane. They took everything great about the first game, and they amped it up. And they had the typical 8 badges and Elite Four fight and the champion fight that follows, but it went even beyond that. It's what? You're going back to the generation... back to the region from the first game, back to the Generation 1 days. You're seeing how that region has changed, new Pokemon that inhabited that region, and you're fighting 8 more gym battles, and you have a hidden champion. It is just it was great. And for me, that's about the point where it stopped. After Gold and Silver, it was just so great. And I remember not having a Game Boy Advance, not really wanting one. I was more of a console gamer at that point, when Ruby and Sapphire hit, and word of mouth did not do that game service. And I might have tried it on a friend's Game Boy Advance, but it didn't really pull me in like the first one did. It didn't really pull me in like the second generation either. So it kind of died out. And that was around the time when I was in high school. I didn't feel bad about that either. It was just one of those things. I didn't think it was lame or I'd been too old. It just sort of fell out. And then some point in college, Pokemon seemed to make a bigger return. And then it's it's actually been doing well that whole time, it would turn out. And it never died. It did consistently well, and all sorts of things were still coming out, and it was great. And you had a lot of weird side games, and of course the main games were still doing well. And so in college, I got back into it a bit. And surprisingly, even more so after college. And I started, looking into more of the lore and having a greater appreciation for that too. And I found out a lot of interesting things. And then I came to investigate some weird things about like Pokédex entries, and I came across some YouTube channels featuring information about that and a whole lot of other things, and that got me more into the YouTube scene. And I was surprised how many people on YouTube were doing things with Pokemon. It was great. After all this time, it was still that popular. And there was still this great community with it. And there was just so much insanity about it. I liked it because, people could go to a competition and you could win money. And some people even won scholarships. And then you had like YouTubers who, they made a living talking about Pokemon. And that's insane to me. That's great to me. So yeah, anyway, it's been doing well this whole time, and that's all fine, that's all good. You knew it wasn't going anywhere. And I think back in 2014, there was that whole April Fool's thing, with Google teaming up with, the Pokemon team and, doing their Google thing where you could use Google Maps and, Pokemon would appear. And, everyone's like, oh yeah, that's awesome. It's a cool idea. And, but, it's a joke. But 2 years later, here we are. And I know so many people who've been excited about this, and I remember hearing information trickle through about Pokemon Go throughout these last couple years, and I thought, hey, yeah, that's a pretty interesting concept. I wouldn't mind seeing how that works. And man, oh man, it is very interesting. I remember hearing that it would be free to play, and I'm not typically a fan of that for various reasons, but here it's actually come off very differently than I would expect. It's not your typical free-to-play game. Like, you don't actually have to buy anything. There are microtransactions, though, and, more power to anyone who wants to spend, honestly. That being said, oh, man. So, Pokemon Go came out July 5th, 2016, and it's been about a week or so of having it be out, and I am thoroughly impressed. So I had forgotten that it was free to play, and I was reminded that, and then I'm like, oh yeah, well, I gotta get this, and my phone wasn't compatible, but they said that there were some issues with that, and sometimes you might suddenly have your phone be compatible with that. So as of yesterday, I have gotten my phone to be compatible, and I've gotten to test it out, and along that path of getting the actual game, just to see what it was all about, I have seen some incredible things, and that brings me to my main point in this video. Pokemon Go has had an incredible impact, a positive impact, and I know I've been talking for almost 8 minutes, and here I am finally at the point, but I feel like that's crucial here, because when I was young, when it first came out, right, Pokemon Red and Blue, or, Pokemon Red and Green if you came out in Japan, then later Blue, but whatever, it was amazing, and Pokemon Mania, it was intense. It's something that, you carry with you as an adult if you were around at time. You say, hey, yeah, I remember that. And then here came Pokemon Go. And it started generating noise. It started getting people interested. It started to, remind a lot of people just how great Pokemon was. Now, remind you, Pokemon never died, It was still incredibly popular, but it has not been this popular since I was a kid. It has not been this intense since back then. This is Childhood, the sequel, and it is impressive, and not just for nostalgia's sake. Okay, so right, a lot of people, they're out there on their phones, and a lot of things that I keep on hearing are things like, hey, yeah, well, my friend might play this, or hey, I saw some people and they were looking at their phone, and I figured, hey, they might be playing Pokemon Go, and conversations get started, and some people who typically wouldn't go outside might go outside. So in addition to getting some extra exercise, they might get to talk to some people that have a common interest, that are trying something that they try. I've heard cases where people with PTSD or autism have gotten out. Some people who have been socially awkward have been making some friends. People have been getting more exercise and liking it. And I know that people have been talking about the historical sites, and some people think, oh, people should go to them on their own. Here's the thing, in this day and age, I feel like it's hard to generate interest, especially the older you get. And if Pokemon Go is taking people to these sites, why not? And yes, there might be issues with some sites here and there. Some people might feel some sort of kind of way about it, but at the end of the day, I think it's doing more good than bad. Like, I was going to visit my family, and I was taking a walk, and I'm in Baltimore, and I walked past like Franklin Town, and I was on my phone on Pokemon Go, and I was able to go and get more information on it within the game, and that was cool. And I think, yeah, it's going to be like that for a lot of people, and I think that is awesome. But back to the whole like meeting people, that's pretty cool. And in addition to like meeting new people, like connecting with your friends and talking about this experience when a lot of your friends are probably going to be your age, and a lot of them, in my case, remember what it was like having Pokemania, and now we get this Pokemon Mania Continued thing going on, and it's great. And also, it's oddly a bit meta because we're actually like walking around, and that's affecting the game, so that's cool. Um, but yeah, so I am thoroughly impressed because it seems to be having this amazing impact, bringing people together. Because in addition to friends and strangers, as bringing family together. There are some people I know my age or older that have children, and they're able, like, of course, to share this great experience with them. Now, of course, they could get their kids to play the games in the first place before Pokemon Go, and that's fine. But some people, the way that the intensity has grown, they're able to share with their kids like what they remember about it, or maybe they were just intrigued by this concept and that got them back into Pokemon, and they're still able to share that appreciation. Or you might have some parents who didn't really care about Pokemon, they might be a little older, and they just had it for the kids growing up, and they might have a greater appreciation for it. And what intrigues me about all this, that people are playing Pokemon Go like crazy. People of all races, all genders, like social groups, gaming levels. Everyone is playing this game. Everyone and their mother, sometimes literally, are talking about it. And it is amazing to me. Because, we have so much negativity in this world, and I think Pokemon has always been like a, relatively good force. And now more than ever. And again, I never ever thought Pokemon would reach this heights of insanity and popularity again after seeing it the first time. I figured, hey, yeah, they would just be consistent for pretty much the end of time. But this seems different. It is different, and I am so ecstatic about that. Because yeah, it is fun playing the game. It's fun running into Pokemon in the real world out there. But what gets me is more of like all the side effects. Because I've talked to so many of my friends about this. I've talked about this to family members. I've seen so many tales on the internet, and of course, there's also a bunch of other YouTubers making videos about this and sharing their experiences, and it's all been positive. And yeah, there's some like things out there that either people won't get, or they might have some complaints about this or whatever. But it is so overshadowed by it, and people's actual experiences, as I said, were all positive, at least from what I've seen and heard. And to me, again, I cannot stress it enough how amazing that is. It is nice to see a video game still survive after all this time and still come up with ways to be fresh and still reach people like it's reached people. Because, video games get a lot of flack. And I feel like they don't get enough credit. And something like Pokemon definitely doesn't get enough credit. And so, from a kid into an adult, Pokemon has never really left my life. And from more of a passive interest to a active interest, I am glad that it's still been here, and I have been pretty excited in recent years about it, honestly. And I am going on 30, and that says something. But I feel like you don't have to be a certain age to enjoy Pokemon, or really anything. And it's just amazing that I could feel this interest again like I did before, because I've always enjoyed the franchise and I fell in and out of it. But to feel this, something that I haven't felt like since I was a kid, and seeing this franchise, which I enjoy, thrive like it is, it's amazing. And the fact that you can still have this powerful community that seems to be expanding, that's really cool to me. And yeah, people are gonna, shake their heads at you sometimes with this, but I feel like then they're missing the picture, the greater picture that is, which is Pokemon is very effective at bringing people together, at enforcing a very positive community. And I think it's great that it is popular that it has maintained popularity and that it has increased it to the point where it was in the beginning. After 20 years, that is truly impressive. I'm glad that it hasn't gone anywhere, and I'm glad that Pokemon Go came out. And I'm glad that so many people are enjoying it and that so many people are connecting. I've talked a lot in this video, so yeah, that's what I have to say. Pokemon Go has made a positive impact, and I am very grateful for that. And I'm very much enjoying it. And for all of you who have played it, I hope you continue to enjoy it for a bit. And for all of you who haven't, if you don't want to, you don't want to. But hey, if you do, I think it'll be worth it. If not, just so you could talk to someone about it and have that experience for yourself and share that experience. I feel like, that's what it's all about. That was the whole point. Well, that and making money. But if you have to make a lot of money like they are right now and have such a positive impact from what you made money off of, I think it's definitely worth it. So yeah, I hope you all have a great day, and I hope you enjoy Pokemon Go. Prime out.